Hey, I'm Gus Johnson, and you're queued up to Out of Bounds.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Out of Bounds. I'm Rashad Milligan. We are joined here by a and we always say this, special guest, but we have one of the all-time greats at what he does, Mr. Gus Johnson in the building. Gus, how are you doing today, sir?
What up, Rashard, man? Thank you very much for having me on your show. I haven't seen you since we were in New Orleans at NABJ about 5 years ago. So I see you doing well. I'm proud of you. And go Georgia State.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that so much. And I was with my good friend at the time, David Shealy, who's still my good friend. It's actually his birthday at the time we're recording this. He grew up in Fishers, Indiana, and I believe his family, both his parents are in media. I think they had some connection to you. So he's like, "Hey guys, I'm David Shealy," and then you're like, "Oh, okay, all right, nice to meet you." Anyways, this new doc you have coming out, man, on February 18th. I just watched the screener. We just reconvened and everything like that. It's so touching. That, like I said, the end was a tearjerker, full circle moment. And one thing I want people to really get out of this is just like, y'all aren't doing enough, and y'all are maximizing life. That's what I want to say. If you don't get anything when you watch this, you can go ahead and watch it for yourself, prove it for yourself. But y'all aren't maximizing life. And Gus, I think we all, like you said at the beginning, 2020 COVID shutdown pandemic. I don't want to give away the entire documentary, but we all had like our mindset shift, right? From one thing to another. Like I think that was one of the more existential years that we as just humans have probably had in modern history, of just thinking like, what's the point? Like, what is life? What do we, blah, blah, blah. And you took that and you ran with it. And it kind of took you to this entirely new purpose in life. I just want to know how fulfilling was it to fulfill this new purpose that you found in the dark of in the midst of a dark time.
Like you said, Rashard, it was dark. COVID, quarantining, paranoia, depression, everybody, people dying. You're afraid to be around older people because you don't want to give them something. I was very reflective during that time in my life, as we all were. And I just said to myself, I said, if and when things get back to normal, because it felt like there was one particular time where we couldn't go or do anything. I mean, I couldn't go hit golf balls. I mean, I could go on a jog, but I'm not a jogger. You couldn't be around people. And I think that's what bothered me the most. I wanted to be around people again after this period in human history where, I've lived through now COVID and 9/11 and Donald Trump. That's a lot in one lifetime. Woo! You know what I'm saying? War in the Ukraine, Desert Storm. And sometimes I think we all need some kind of therapy. And for me, Harvard was therapy. It worked on my mind, my spirit. One thing you learned about during COVID is that material things really didn't matter. Be honest with you. As Denzel Washington always says, you never see a U-Haul attached to a hearse. So this was an opportunity for me to get out there, man, and be around some people that are my age. I think the greatest thing in the program is I built new friends at 55 years old that I'm going to have for the rest of my life. When you get older, you don't meet new friends too often. So that's what it did for me, brother. And I loved expanding my mind, learning, growing, being in Boston, going to the peach joint at 1 o'clock in the morning, get me something to eat when I was studying. So just a wonderful, wonderful journey.
Guess just watching that, kind of hearing your journey of you as a teenage boy growing up into a young man, first going into sports broadcasting, transitioning from athlete to broadcast. I don't know. And then what you're doing now, it's just, it shows me the beauty in aging gracefully. And for the young people right now, I think young Black men in particular can really hear this. We are an endangered species. Whether we're battling our own thoughts, our own situation, and everything like that, or if we're just placed in a certain environment that might not be the safest, right? To those young Black men, what is your message to them, seeing how you have transformed and evolved over the years about the beauty in aging?
We have to work hard to survive. You got to figure out what your hustle is going to be so you can survive. Number one universal law, as Dad used to say, is survival. And it's in this world, it's survival of the fittest. So I understand that. You got to go out and make your money. You got to try to establish a career, take care of your family, especially your kids, your wife, or your partner. But I think at a certain time, Rashard, I've started to think about, because I've acquired all the, material things one could acquire. But I'm starting to think about my soul. And where does my soul go? Where does it travel to? What is God's intention for me to help somebody else? I don't know if you remember watching that part in the documentary with the kids in Detroit. Those faces, like,
Man, no. That moment itself, that deserves its own discussion. But continue.
yeah, just like their faces, man, putting that Harvard stuff on and giving them hope. Yeah, you can go to Harvard. That ain't nothing for us. We can do whatever we want to do. And if it's not Harvard, it's Howard or Spelman or Morehouse or Yale or Ohio State or Michigan or USC, or Arizona State, wherever. But this will help you out in your life. And what I told them was that you have a responsibility to give back too. And you need to start thinking about that at 10 years old. What are you going to do to help? It might be your mommy or your daddy. What can you do to be a better servant? And I think being a servant is Christian. And I want to work on from this part in the third chapter of my life, or the third quarter, helping, not making it about me. I've spent so much time making it about me, but I've been trying to survive. You know what I'm saying? And now I think I'm at that point where I can shift my focus. So that's what I would say to brothers. Do what you got to do. Win, eat, enjoy, have fun. But as time goes on, maybe you turn that a little bit, or maybe in the process of that, you turn that and just start thinking about, dang, man, what can I do to help a young little boy or a young little girl?
For speaking of education, you went to two of the most prestigious universities in America, in Howard and Harvard. So I just want to ask you, but you said the wisest man that you've ever known was your father, who didn't make it past third grade. I want to ask you about kind of now graduating from Harvard, like, what do you think is the difference between being educated and being wise?
I learned this at Harvard this semester. I'm gonna drop this on you. Feel like I'm Rakim or Jay-Z. I'm about to spit some ballistics, G. There's a difference between intellect and sophistication. Intellect, you have the information. Sophistication, you know when and how to use it. Boom. That's what I think. Um, we learn a lot. We want to learn a lot, but at the same time, you have to know how to impart it on your day-to-day interactions, especially when it comes to dealing with people. So everything is management. Russell Simmons once said, it's not the most important thing in life is not only to build great relationships, but to manage them. And that's in every aspect of our lives, I think, from micro to macro, whether it be talking to the man at the bodega across the street that you go get your coffee and your breakfast sandwich from in the morning, to me dealing with high level executives at Fox. What kind of relationship can we cobble together to move forward?
Right. Okay. And like the cliche, it's not about always what you know, but who you know, and that and stuff like that, and how you coddle those relationships. All that stuff is extremely important. It's up there with the sophistication of how you use. See how I did that. See how I did that, guys.
Yeah,
All right.
you wove that in there, son. You wove that in
Anyways.
there. I like that.
I'm trying. I'm trying to get like Gus, man. All right. And next week, I'm going back. You shouted out Georgia State in the intro, but I'm going back to Georgia State to speak at a class for my mentor Terrence Moore in his class. And one of the things that stood out to me that was mentioned is like your preparation. Like you have note cards and note cards of notes. I remember one time I shadowed Ernie Johnson when I was in school, and he showed me his thick binder of like each and every single night in the NBA who led and rebounds and points for the night and everything. He's telling me about how long he studies these things just to be a host on Inside the NBA. I wanted to ask you, what are some, I guess, researching or studying tips that you can give to journalists or anybody in any career field about, just preparation and studying and, being prepared?
It's real simple. Read everything 3 times. First of all, read everything. Everything. Just sit down and force yourself to read it. But try to read it 3 times. Because by the third time, my dentist, Dr. Richard Miller, who's a terrific dentist, went to NYU dental school, passed away. But I said, what's the key? Being smart. He said, read everything 3 times. Read it when you first get it, read it sometime in the middle, and read it right before your exam or whatever you're doing that you're going to have to use this information. I think that helps to sit down and read and just work on your writing, putting your thoughts down, having great grammar, paying attention to the grammar. To me, grammar is like watching an NFL game and listening to the rules analyst and the rules of the game. And if you really understand the rules, then once you sit down to convey your thoughts, it's not a hard process. That's what I think. Just read as much as you can.
Gus, I guess, just like you're talking about, we could go back to a little more surface level stuff. I feel like this is been a lot of deep stuff. I want to ask you, just like, looking at your career, the broadcasting career, what is your favorite moment? What is your favorite moment been throughout your career? And I know that's very surface level, but I want to do something a little lighter.
My favorite moment, brother, is the birth of my son. When I saw him come into the world, I was in there. Oof, lot. But that was my favorite moment in my career, or in my life, when he came into the world and I saw him for the first time. When it comes to sports, I mean, I've had so many moments. I've done 2 Champions League finals. I've done the Winter Olympics in 1998 in Nagano, Japan, NCAA tournaments, voice of the Knicks, Bucks, Timberwolves, NFL. It's just so many moments. One moment though that really always sticks out is Isaiah Thomas hitting that shot when he was at Washington against Arizona in the Pac-10 championship. It was Pac-10 back then. He was a walk-off shot, boom, left, crossed him over, stepped back like James Harden. Wow. And they won the game. They won the championship. And I don't think I've ever experienced anything like that. And he loves Isaiah. He's so little. I was tall. I'm taller than Isaiah. He gave me a pair of shoes too. He signed them when he got to the Celtics. So I just think that stuff like that is something that just it's inspired me over the years.
Young guy T, young guy T. I remember that shot. It was funny, like you said that. It was crazy how like UW has had a couple of like very powerful small guards. Like when you think about Nate and Nate Robinson and IT. I want to ask you about you mentioned the birth of your son. What was the most proud moment of like kind of your life, like your favorite memory? But I want to ask you, talking about that, when I asked you what was your favorite memory of your career, and then just in the doc, talking about this entire thing, the entire process was like Harvard was the best thing that I've done and everything like that. There's no finish line. It's what your father said at the end of the doc. um how do you balance that, the duality of I want to strive to be as great as I possibly can in my career field, or so I can reach as many people, but also like I know the most important stuff isn't what I do, it's the person I am in life. Like, how do you balance that?
Our professor, Professor Meredith Rosenthal, the chair of my department of our fellowship at Harvard, ALI, Advanced Leadership Initiative, her last words to us after she, prior to her giving us our certificates, was, do what you can. Just do what you can. You know what that means. They say God gives us free will, but some people feel that having an opportunity to choose is actually an illusion, because you know what you're supposed to do. So free will or choice is an illusion. You know what you're supposed to do. So there is no free will. There is no choice. We have to do what we know we're supposed to do. Now, we don't always meet that. Sometimes we do what we want to do, not what we're supposed to do, that we know we're supposed to do. And there's lies the challenge. But I'll say, just do what you can. Just like my professor said, Marcus Aurelius, he said the most important thing is to strive for the greater good. And I think that's what it's about.
Shout out Professor C. See, look. I feel like, Gus, I feel like this entire thing is a test. Is it, hey, I watched the movie. Come on now. All right. Anyways. Guess and just the last few things. What are you seeing right now in the world of sports? Like we have Super Bowl coming up. By the time this comes out, it's probably gonna be after Super Bowl. But we have Super Bowl coming up, All-Stars coming up in the NBA. If you talk about one of the things that I'm looking at, one of the biggest games last night was in the Big Ten on the women's basketball side. It was Indiana and Iowa. When you think of Caitlin Clark, just what are all the things that's going on that you're focusing on right now in this world of sports?
Well, this Super Bowl is historic. 2 Black quarterbacks. I'm just gonna sit back and watch the game. I mean, I'm a big Jalen Hurts fan, but I'm also a big Pat Mahomes fan. And it just makes me smile to see these young men. I covered them both when Pat was at Texas Tech and Jalen at Oklahoma. And sometimes I just shake my head and I just stand. Look how far we've come. Look how far we've come. So whoever wins the game, wins the game. But we're all winning the game, African-American people. So that's a big deal to me. NBA wise, man, I'm looking at my main man, LeBron. Man, I love that guy. He's such a good dude. He tries hard, tries to help other people. School that he built, social impact that he's had on the world. Now his babies are getting ready to go play ball in college, which is just like unbelievable to me that Ronnie is about to go to college and play basketball. So handsome, beautiful family. I'm happy about my New York Knicks. I'm a big Knick fan. Jalen Brunson has done a wonderful job. Now they just got Josh Hart. So now Brunson, they'll have somebody to guard Brunson's man because he's not a great defender. So, which is perfect, smart. I'm looking forward to the playoffs. Hopefully I can do some more games with TNT this year, like I did last year. And watch these guys just go out and compete. I'm very interested to see what's going to happen with Golden State. I don't know what happened, how you win the championship one year and then you just kind of fall off. I don't know what happened to them. I haven't really paid attention to the story, but Tom Brady's retiring. Crazy. Gonna miss him 23 years. I called his first start. It was New England and Indianapolis at Gillette. And I remember Troy Brown was a guy I got to know. We did the Superstars Challenge in Jamaica, in Jamaica. And I got to know him over there. So he was hurt. So I went to practice one day when Drew Bledsoe got hurt. And I said to Troy, what's up with this Tom Brady guy? What do you think? And I'll never forget what he said. He said, Gus, I don't know, but there's just something about him, you know? And he was right. We're going to miss seeing him out there on that field. He's just a wonderful athlete. Aside from that, I'm just looking forward to seeing what happens. College basketball, NCAA tournament is coming up. Big East tournament for me is coming up. And we'll head into the spring and the playoffs and NBA playoffs. That's always a wonderful time.
Gus, wrapping up, we only have a couple more minutes with you. I want to make sure, I mentioned this in the intro. I've said this to you before we recorded everything like that, but I want to make sure people understand kind of the significance of this, right? It is the month of February, Black History Month. One of the greatest all-time play-by-play announcers is a Black man. And he's come up in a time where it's 2023. I was just talking to, like I said, my mentor, Terrence Moore, about this. And we did this story on it earlier this week about still in 2023, it's not that many Black faces in media right now, especially if you didn't play or coach on a professional or a major collegiate Division I level. And he broke through all of those cylinders and established himself as one of the greatest of all time at what he does. We want to make sure you receive those flowers, Gus Johnson. First things first. Second thing coming off of that is just, man, I guess when you think of that, impact, I know it's all about the next generation for you and the things beyond broadcasting, but when you hear those words, just kind of like, that's what I wanted to ask you about. I'm sorry. No glass ceilings, no ceilings. You go to the kids and you tell them, I am going to Harvard. I am going to Harvard. You give them the book bags and the gear and everything like that. Where do you get that from? Where do you get that from to not think of limits? Like your father said, your father told the story about him shining the shoes and he had that moment of the person, telling him to shut up and stuff. Where did that come from? I could do anything. There are no limits in life. Where did that come from?
I'm an athlete. I love to play ball. I'm not afraid of competition. I will compete. And I want to win. The object of the game is to win the game. I want to win the game. If I'm going to play, I might as well try to win. And I just don't think that, I think my faith, God is in my heart. I believe in God. I talk to God. I get on my knees. I fall on my face. Okay. And give praise to the ultimate spirit. And because of that, I don't have very much fear. You know, in the end, I'm like, whatever. I might not succeed, but I'm gonna try. I'm always gonna try hard as much as I can. And I'm not, we're human beings. We're not always Richard at our best. Sometimes, there are things that are on the outside that affect us when we have to go and focus on doing our jobs. But I just want to be in the game. I want to be on the team. And I want to, try to throw a dime to the next guy so he can go to the hole and bang, and he'll feel good. And when he feels good, then I feel good because I know I set him up. So that's kind of how I see it.
Yes, man, I appreciate the time so much. Back to school with Gus Johnson, Fox Sports, February 18th. Hey, Gus, what else do you have coming up?
We got Michigan State right after the documentary that night. And then we got
There's no breaks. There's no break. Can we get one night, Gus, to celebrate? Gus is right back to work right after.
Hey, man, they work
there
a
is no
hard.
finish line.
Huh?
There is no finish line.
There is no finish line, baby. Keep going. Don't stop. Continue to always chase knowledge, and you're never going to catch it. So we got that, Michigan State, and then the following week, we got a good one. We got Indiana at Purdue. Indiana beat Purdue the other day. So I know the Boilers are going to be ready for bear. And then we'll roll into the Big East tournament. And hopefully I'll roll into a little NBA.
Sir, Gus Johnson, but more importantly, the man who gives back. That's something you're going to see all this in the doc. So I mean, but I just wanted to let you know, Gus Johnson, that the man, the legend that continues to give back, and that's more important than anything that he's done on the mic. So thank you, sir, for the words that you imported on me in 2017 in passing, and the words that you imported on or given all these people today. So, make sure you check it out. Out of Bounds, Rashad Mulligan. Until next time, you all, please take care of yourselves.